Digital 410 Productions proudly presents the What's in Your Head podcast.
Digitized live from the
Your company name here.
studios in Cape Coral, Florida. It's the What's in Your Head podcast.
What's up, OG5? How's everybody doing tonight on July 5th, post July 4th? Obviously, if you can do your math or do your basic counting, which is a bit of a stretch here on the What's in Your Head podcast. Joining us is Mike, no use for a last name, all the way from a long, long distance of across the river in Fort Myers, Florida. Mike, how you doing tonight, sir?
Oh, not bad. Just trying to recover from this cold and congestion kind of bullshit that's going on in my head and neck region, but I'm doing okay.
So you got yourself the creepy crud, is what you're saying.
Yeah, a little bit.
You got the creeping crud. You know what the creeping crud actually was?
What's that?
Dysentery. That's what they used in World War II. Creeping crud.
Outstanding. How are you, buddy?
I'm good. I caught a fish tonight.
A fish?
A single fish. I lost one, but I caught a fish.
Cool.
Interestingly enough, the last few fishes I've caught on a worm speed retrieving like top water, and then they hit it, I catch it, and then I'm like, well, clearly they're hitting top water, and then I throw top water for an hour and a half and I get a single hit. So you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't.
The worm, my guy.
Yeah.
The worm.
Is your dog afraid of fireworks, or as we like to call them, sky booms?
Not afraid. She just barks at it because she doesn't know what it is, and then she fucks off, lays back down.
Bailey, for her first 2 years on this big blue marble, was terrified. She was just one of those dogs that would bark and shake and whimper. And, it's the only time in her life that she actually doesn't like to be underneath blankets because she likes to see what's going on when the things are popping off.
Sure.
And so this year we were concerned because now we have Jasper and Bailey. We didn't know how Jasper handled it. And we knew from past experiences that Bailey just does not handle it well at all. And clearly we're not the only ones because there's a whole new line of, videos and social media movements about pets against fireworks. So it's definitely a thing. And she didn't give two shits and a fuck this year.
Wow.
Carrie thinks maybe she was trying to show off for Jasper, not wanting him to think she's a big puss.
Sure.
I think it's more that after you live through 8.5 hours of a Cat 5 hurricane sitting on top of your house, fireworks ain't shit.
Yeah.
Because ever since the hurricane, she's got more jumpy. She hears a noise or whatever, she'll bark. But the fireworks didn't bother her one bit. She still didn't go underneath the covers, but did not bother her at all one bit.
That's interesting.
I was happy because that's part of the reason why we didn't go anywhere. Because last year I went to my boss's house, and Carrie stayed home with the dog, and the dog freaked out and shaked and damn near pissed herself all night. And now we know, maybe on New Year's Eve, because here in Florida, God, you gotta love legal loopholes. So people think fireworks are legal in Florida. They're not. They're illegal until you sign a piece of paper that says you're going to use it for agriculture. Because all the farmland we all have. So the legality is when you sign that paper at the fireworks shop is that you're going to use them to scare birds off of your crop.
Right.
Because you can't do that with a single black cat bottle rocket. No, you need mortars.
Right.
And so, when I worked at the radio station, I would get gift certificates, and every year I'd just go down there and load up on mortars, and I was always that jerk out in the street lighting off mortars, and our neighbors do a pretty good job, so now I don't have to worry about picking up that mantle. And plus, when we discovered that Bailey didn't care for it, we didn't do much anyhow.
Mm-hmm.
But now we don't have to worry about that much, and so maybe possibly we can go out and do things, but we're getting to that age where it's like I've been to 45 years worth of fireworks in my day, and I've seen them all, from the old fireworks in the 70s and 80s to the big ones, and then the mortars, which I will say, once you buy a mortar and set mortars off, Roman candles and bottle rockets just ain't cutting it for you.
No.
Did you ever, in your family, ever go to a red, white, and boom-esque It's funny, every city has a red, white, and boom or something similar. A lot of them use the same name. Columbus had a huge one. And that's one we went to growing up. In Cincinnati, they had the WEBN fireworks. But did you or your family, like growing up, did their parents ever drag you downtown to one of those fiascos?
Yeah, I mean, I was born and raised in Cape Coral, and we used to go to Red, White, and Boom, not every year, but every couple of years we might go down there. And I distinctly, excuse me, I distinctly remember one particular year because there was a vendor selling a Mark Ronson mix CD that had a song with Ghostface Killer on it.
Nice.
That I really, really like when I was real young, and I was like, "Oh man, this is cool!" Like I played that, I played the shit out of that CD.
Not to
every day after.
Not
that.
to divert, but we tend to do this on do that on the show. Have you watched Wu-Tang: The American Tale on?
I haven't seen it yet.
You got to watch it. You'll dig it. Anyhow, back to your story. So you bought the Ghostface Killer Mike Ronson mixtape.
Yep.
From the vendor, probably on 47th Terrace.
Actually, that particular year, they actually had it closed down on Cape Coral Parkway. And I remember it was at the very end, before you could get to the bridge. They had some vendors set up right there at the foot of the bridge. And walked up, this dude was selling CDs, and I looked at it, and it wasn't anything that I didn't know what it was. I just saw an orange CD with a star pattern on it, and I was like, I want that. So I picked it up.
You got lucky because you could have ran the risk of it being a Smashing Pumpkin CD.
Yeah. So I picked it up. My mom bought it for me, and it had 5 tracks on it, and I think it was number 3 or 4 that was just on repeat all the time. And but yeah, I remember a couple of years that we went to the Red, White, and Boom celebration in Cape Coral.
Did you ever live through a fiasco, a public craziness?
A public debacle?
Yes.
During 4th of July celebration?
In a crowded area?
Not that I can recall, no.
The last time I went to the Red, White, and Boom in Cape Coral, I'm not going to base long story short, we did the whole sit up and heat all day. It was about 7-8 years ago. Malfunction after like firework number 6. They all went off at one time. Ladies and gentlemen, that calls the end of the show. Have a nice day. I mean, camped out for like 5 hours, and the whole display lasts 8.5 minutes.
Yeah.
But that wasn't a debacle I remember. Growing up in Columbus, Ohio, they also had a Red, White, and Boom. And as you can imagine, a town like Columbus, it was effing huge.
I would imagine.
It's just a sea of humanity. Good, bad, ugly, drunk, sober, otherwise. You had the whole spectrum. You had because, in Columbus, especially back in the 80s and 90s, you had a large swath, and they're still there, of the evangelicals, the Christians, and you got the, every other group of people, and the drunks and this and that. We were down there. We were well into the evening, parked probably 1.5 miles, 2 miles away, been down there all day. I think I was in middle school, probably 7th or 8th grade. Fireworks start going off, boom, 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 boom. It was cool. It's probably a 15-minute show. I don't know. Sometimes they feel like they last longer than they actually do, so I can't tell you exactly. But somewhere in about middle of the show, before we got even close to the grand finale, tornado sirens start going off.
Oh, shit.
Now, just imagine, if you will, downtown Columbus, all the streets are closed. Your car's probably at the top of a parking garage 2.5 miles away, just to see of humanity. Hundreds of thousands of people. I think the only thing worse would have been gunshots. Tornado siren. It was just pandemonium. Now, I'm in 6th or 7th grade, so I was probably 5'8" at the time. Not a big deal. But even still, trying not to get separated from your parents, downtown Columbus, trying to remember which direction to go to get to your car. I can only imagine what it was like to be one of those parents, like a 5-year-old or a 7-year-old, and you're trying to keep grab of and just everybody freaking the hell out. Sure. It was just pure insanity. I remember it probably took us 3 hours to get home, and I think that was the last time we ever went down there.
Well, here's the interesting thing is, yes, I was born and raised in Cape Coral and the Lee County area.
Northwest Cape Coral, born and raised on the playgrounds where he spent most of his days, just chilling out, maxing, relaxing, all cool, getting chased by alligators outside of the school. When a couple of rednecks were up to no good. Start planting crops in his neighborhood.
But
had one bike stolen and his mom got scared. She said, "You're moving with your auntie and uncle in Lehigh."
My aunt and uncle did live in Lehigh too. Anyway, I moved, as a lot of the listeners know.
You whistled for the trolley, and when it came near,
I moved to North Carolina for 10 years, and I spent high school up there and a little bit after. And
was that a culture shock? You went from a small town Cape Coral to, even if it was a small town, just I'm assuming you're probably more surrounded by the agricultural community opposed to the beach life and Florida cracker community.
Yeah. So the biggest difference was, I mean, like Lee County and Cherokee County, North Carolina are probably about the same size physically, but it's all mountainous, and the actual town of Murphy, North Carolina is very small.
That's where the bed manufacturing plant is.
Sure. A lot of manufacturing plants, a lot of farming, shit like that, a lot of mom and pop places. But yeah, I mean, culture shock. I mean, I thought it was cool. It was a different experience. It was different than the hustle and bustle of being here. Now, I mean, Cape Coral is not a big city by any means.
When you say Cape Coral, last thing I think of is hustle and or bustle.
But when you're used to that, and you grow up, I didn't grow up in a big city. The biggest city that I knew of was, close by was like Tampa, or Orlando,
Miami,
or Miami if you want to go down south. So,
I always want to go down south.
Yeah. So yeah, it was a huge whoa, this is weird. This is what it was funny because my parents, they took me to school to get me registered and all that stuff, and the guidance counselor /
not that registered, you weirdos.
The guidance counselor was like, "Oh, you're going to be riding bus number 2," and all of my buses prior to were 4-digit numbers, and it was just funny, So anyway, the difference, going back to, fireworks and 4th of July and all that stuff, the difference is like, in larger areas like Fort Myers and Cape Coral and all that,
patriotism and symbols of patriotism right around about a 3 on the volume scale.
So, 4th of July happens on 4th of July.
Yep.
Halloween happens
on Halloween, not on the Saturday after or 3 days before.
It doesn't matter if it's Monday through Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That's when it happens, and it's not going to happen again until next year. Up there, if it falls on a Sunday, it happens the Saturday before, because you're in the Bible Belt up there, so it's very
no messing around on God's day.
That's right. So. And if it was during the work week, it went to the prior Saturday. If it was on Monday or Tuesday, you had to wait all week to get to that Saturday. So I had friends and stuff like that down here that were already did their celebrations and stuff like that.
Forget about it.
Yeah. So it was a weird thing, 4th of July. And I mean, obviously Christmas was Christmas and New Year's was New Year's. And, that all stayed the same, but the Independence type holiday and Halloween and Easter was Easter because religion and all that stuff. But
sure.
But yeah, the other holidays that you had off that involved family and kids and stuff like that, they were always on the weekend, and I always thought that was interesting and weird. Because it was you're celebrating it, but it's not the same.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's kind of the way it is. I don't know. Down here, I think they do the same thing. I don't think they celebrate it so much on the day of as they do when it's more convenient for those involved.
Sure, but Red, White, and Boom was yesterday.
Yeah. Well, that's true.
You know.
'Cause- yeah.
It's still celebrated on the day. You know, maybe people will say, well, fuck that, I'm not going to deal with that, I don't want to go downtown or whatever.
Yeah.
We'll just blow some shit up on Saturday or whatever, and there's our Independence Day. That's
I always
fine.
love the drunk guy who can't quite wait for it to get dark enough.
Yeah.
They start letting the mortars off when the sun's still up. It's like, dude, you can barely see it.
I had mortars just going off just about
That one mortar
30
is
minutes ago.
$15.
Mhm.
You can't wait 20 minutes and 3 more beers.
Nope.
But
Nope.
you know, kind of like we were saying earlier, when you light off a mortar, going back to a bottle rocket or a pack of Black Cats and some Roman candles just doesn't cut it. Well,
That's
same-
when stupid shit starts to happen.
Well, the same thing happens when you get to go out to the basically launch site of a Red, White, and Boom. Now, when I worked at the radio station, Stan, Dave, and myself got invited out by the chief of the Seminole Casino, the Seminole Fire Department in Immokalee, because they had to set up trucks around the launch site in case of a fire.
Sure.
And Dave was drunker than dog shit. We had an event that day at the casino, and all the Stan Haney listeners were giving him shots of Fireball. This is where he got the nickname of Fireball Dave.
How long ago was this?
3 or 4. This is like right smack dab in the middle of my career in radio, so about 7, 8 years ago now. So we get out there, we have a show. Haney leaves. No, they got a hotel room. Haney goes up to his hotel room, I think. And Dave is getting people just buying him shots of Fireball. New York James is buying him shots, and everybody else who came out there. I think the Guardian was buying him shots. And at some point, he's walking through Seminole Casino with a cigarette in his mouth, lit, walking through the non-smoking section, drunker than hell. And we know the fire chief is coming to pick us up. We're going to take a ride in his truck out to the launch area.
Mm-hmm.
And Dave is just being full-blown Dave, belligerent as hell, drunk as hell, stumbling all over the place. So I scoop him up. And if you don't know about this about me, my biggest pet peeve are sloppy drunks. I hate having to babysit sloppy drunks in public.
Yeah.
It's a turn off me. Chick, dude, what have you. More often than not, unless I'm in a business environment like we were that night, I just let you go off and whatever happens to you happens to you. You're not my circus, you're not my monkey. But in this case, it was my circus and he was my monkey. And so the fire chief comes and Stan gets in front and me and Dave get in the back. Now, I'm going to be sensitive about this, but Dave was not being sensitive about this because he was about 5 shots of Fireball in. When you get into Immokalee, there's a certain community of people that live there, and one of the things you'll notice is roosters and chickens have free roam of the town.
Mm-hmm.
And Dave, being from L.A. and California and thinking he's a cholo and thinking he's immersed himself in certain cultures, before getting drunk, he made 1 or 2 comments about cockfighting rings. Where can I go to see the cockfights? Okay, Dave, shut up. 1, it's not funny. 2, it's not appropriate. But now he is 5 fireballs into this in a truck in the back seat with a Native American fire chief. And he starts talking about cockfighting. And we're there as a sponsored event. And Stan's looking at me like, shut him the fuck up. So I'm like whispering, Dave, I got my hand. I was like, shut up. I'm like, what, man? I just want to know about word cockfight. I'm like trying to get him to shut up. He finally shuts up. We get out to this field, and the only other people out there are other people from the Seminole community. They got some cars parked there and the kids, and they got their chairs out there. And we are literally probably 50 yards, maybe 100 yards. We're on the other side of the fence of the horse pasture where they're launching these fireworks off. And these aren't like, these are the same ones they shoot off casinos and, baseball events. They're the real deal Holyfield. And we're waiting. Now, one of the problems when you drink a lot is, you got to take a piss.
Mm-hmm.
And we're out in the field. no trees to be had, surrounded by people and children. To which point Dave just walks to the back of the truck, facing families, proceeds to unzip his pants, pull his cock out, and start to piss. And I'm like, I gotta walk up to him, like turn him so he, like, his genitals are facing the fucking truck. We're not trying. And long story short, I'm fighting him the whole goddamn night. And it was like my worst case scenario. I hate babysitting people. Now we're in a work environment. But despite all that, this ruined the fireworks for Stan and I forever, because when you were sitting that close to the launch site and you literally breaking your neck looking straight up, going to a public event where you're sitting amongst thousands of people, it's not the same. It's like being at backstage at a concert and then all of a sudden finding yourself in the nosebleeds of a stadium trying to watch the same band. So, like, ever since then, I haven't really tried to go back to a public display of fireworks, because you're not going to beat that. But he was so goddamn drunk, and it was so embarrassing. But
now, for reference, did you know Dave prior to radio, or did you meet him during radio?
I knew him from the Stan Haney Show, because before I ever worked for them, I was a listener. I was a listener for forever. When I moved down here in 2004, we started at computers. I had a fleet van that just had an AM FM radio. There was no CD-ROM. There was no tape deck. And so driving around all day, you listen to the radio. Well, you get tired of hearing the same playlist played at the same time every goddamn day. Yeah. And so I would listen to Wink News Radio starting in the morning. I would listen to whatever I think K-Rock's early morning show was at the time. It was Joe Scott's show. And I tried to suffer through that, but this was at the point where he was just having his therapist on all the time talking about his divorce, and I just couldn't handle it. So I went over to the news radio, and I would listen to, all the political talk stuff. And then in the daytime, I'd switch it over to Stan Haney, and then at night I'd listen to Liz Wild's show. And I would try calling in Stan Haney every once in a while, and I would call in the Liz Wild show. And then one night, it was after Hurricane Wilma, because I still had the Beasley Broadcasting All Access Pass. I had no relationship with them at the time. I was just a listener. And Liz Wild and Stan Haney, they were all broadcasting from the Germain Arena at the time, because they were having a hurricane relief event for Hurricane Wilma. They had, like, lead singer from Bullet Boys is down there. The Cats from Cheap Trick were down there. The Cats from AC/DC. They were playing a show. And so I went down there and was taking pictures just for my own, because I was a diehard radio guy. And I talked to Mickey and Annie, who was known as Liz Wild, and talked to them, took photos. And long story short, called them a few times. They brought me on the air. Mickey gave me the on-air name of Donnybrook, and I started calling in. I was a regular caller, and then started hanging out with him. And then at the time, you had Cape Coral Elvis. Do you remember Cape Coral Elvis?
It sounds so familiar.
Cape Coral Elvis was a guy who lived in a rented property on Santa Barbara, and he would stand out on his curb. He had like a giant cross and a bunch of like Catholicism's type paraphernalia out in the front yard, and he would stand out in this cheap rip-off black Elvis jumpsuit, and he had his hair dyed black, and he was probably 60, 70 years old, had the glasses, and he would just stand out in his yard doing the Elvis kicks. And
I do remember that guy.
Yes, he was.
I haven't thought about that guy in years.
He was a fixture of Cape Coral, because he would literally stand out in front of his yard smoking all day, just doing like the worst impression of Elvis. We
used to drive by him all the time.
He was always out there, and if you live in Cape Coral, you probably just hadn't thought of him. You haven't thought of him in so long.
Yeah. Holy shit. I do remember that fucking guy.
Well, we were talking about him at Comp USA at the time. I was running Comp USA. We were talking about him. And I just started this relationship with the Liz Wild show. I was trying to get on, try to become part of the show. I really wanted to get in radio. No radio experience at this time. A person I worked with brought me this VHS tape and said, "You got to see this." And this is probably 2000. I don't know. What's the date on this? 2005. So this is 2005. They give me this VHS tape, and I take it home. And there were copies of this tape floating around Cape Coral. At the time, Tom Green had a late night show.
Yeah.
And he had this contest of, hey, send me a video of something interesting or crazy from your town. And if you win, I'll come out and hang out and we'll feature this thing on my show. And so these kids who filmed this video, fuck it, we got Cape Coral Elvis. What more do you need?
Yeah.
And so they get their camcorder and they go over to Cape Coral Elvis's house and they're talking to him, interviewing him. And his yard was crazy. He had like a cross out there, Virgin Mary, and all kinds of Catholicism paraphernalia in the yard.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel free saying this because I'm pretty sure he's passed away by now. Because this was, 2005. It's 2023. So he was 60 then. And they say, hey, can we go in your house? He said, yeah, but one at a time. They go into his house. And it's the most insane thing you can think of. Because here's a guy who dresses up like Elvis, dances around his front yard, kicking karate chops, and has this Virgin Mary and all this church-based paraphernalia out in his yard. And you go in his house, and he has more paraphernalia in his house. He has like a 5-foot-tall crucifix laying on the floor in his bedroom. And all that's fine. But where it gets crazy, he has cutouts from probably years worth of Playgirls just mounted all over his wall. Just naked dudes and cocks everywhere you looked as this camera panned around.
I'm looking at it right now.
Oh, is it on YouTube?
Yeah.
Really? It made it to
Yes.
YouTube? That's insane.
Yes.
I'm surprised I actually have the VHS tape of this.
I will send it to you.
And yeah, so as they're going through the room, the camera, it was like two guys and a girl, and they're like completely shocked because everybody's into porn, that's fine, but when you have naked dudes in the same room as a 6-foot crucifix laying on the floor, you're just getting bent both ways. You're like, what the hell? It wasn't like there wasn't any sex, it was just naked dudes all over the place.
Yeah.
And so I'm telling Annie and Mickey about this, and they watched the video like, oh man, well, we happened to go bowling one night, and him and his brother were there. And I said, ooh, hey, and he's like, go book him for the show. I was like, oh, sweet, I just got me a gig working radio. Went down there, hey, I booked guests for the Les Wild show on 96 K-Rock. We'd love to have you on. We saw his video. We'd love to talk to you about it. And he agreed to come on. And the night he was getting ready to come on was the night that they got fired. It was like right before the show, and I said, you guys aren't going on tonight. So that was, it was like the night my first premiere in radio, as far as I'd been down there before, been on the air, but like the night I booked my first guest and actually was creating content for a radio show.
Yeah.
This night they got fired.
That fucking blows.
And so I know Dave worked for Stan Haney at the time. And a long story short, I'd called in Stan Haney show long after they got fired, and Stan was complaining about his computer one day, and I'd call and say, hey, I can fix it. Not only can I fix it, I can do it remotely, so I don't have to come to your house. Which, when you've been in the radio for as long as they have, and you've been in the same area, the last thing you want is just fanboys coming to your house, you know?
Yeah.
So the fact that I can fix your computer, I don't have to come to your house, and you can watch what I'm doing, make sure I'm not looking at shit you don't want me to see. So I remoted and fixed both their site, or their computers, and then after a while, they reached out and said, hey, do you know anything about Facebook? So I ran their Facebook page for free for like 3 or 4 years, and then one thing led to another. Then they called me and asked me if I wanted to produce a show, and that's how I got in radio. It was just as a computer repairman and a Facebook guy.
Nice.
So I did their website and their Facebook page for about 4 years before I even technically worked for them. But that's how because as they were talking about stuff on the radio, I was driving around in my van. And so when they were talking about stuff going on in town, I would stop there, take pictures of it, and send it to their email or send it through their Facebook Messenger, and they could talk about it in real time. And while they're talking about stuff going on, I was posting it to their Facebook page if it was happening in Cape Coral or if I was in the area. And so,
no shit.
I can't believe that video's on YouTube. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah. I wanted to touch on something real quick. We won't get too deep into it, but we're all familiar with the Titan sub and how it imploded, and it's a god-awful story.
Yeah.
One of the things that concerns me, now look, I get comedians and jokes and this and that, and that's fine. You want to make fun of the pilot, the fact that he has videotape saying you know, a lot of submersible companies, when they start, they hire ex-Navy guys with submarine experience. Well, we're not doing that because we're not hiring 50-year-old white guys because they're not inspiring. We want to hire 20-year-old kids, and just made all these bad choices. That's fine. You want to make fun of the guy, that's fine. But as all that news was breaking, right?
Mm-hmm.
All the stories, all the video clips you saw on TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, almost 100% across the board was like total lack of, you know, just complete disregard for human life.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, these people could afford a $250,000 boat trip to the bottom of the ocean and they died. Chumps, suckers.
Yeah.
And it's like, not counting the dickhead who ran this business, but 4 people are fucking dead, including a 19-year-old who took a Rubik's Cube because he won his second world record of the deepest solving of the puzzle.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And it's like, if these tickets were $50, people would have been rip shit pissed. Somebody's got to be held accountable.
Oh, yeah.
But because they were $250,000, their life don't mean anything?
It was for the elites.
And I saw a great headline. Somebody else felt the same way I did, which was Titan sub creates eat the rich mentality on the internet. But is that kind of like will we look back in the future like, yeah, that's when we knew that as a society we're all narcissists. We don't care about anything or anybody anymore. The fact that 4 innocent people who went on a sub that they were told was safe, even though they signed a waiver, basically got crushed to death.
Mm-hmm.
And with the exception of their families and co-workers, no one gave a shit because they have more than we do. That's gross.
Mm-hmm.
And I know,
Yeah.
and I'm by no means a Bible thumper or a church goer, but sometimes you gotta look at the commandments and think, you know, even if you're not a church goer, you can kind of understand how, you know, envy and sloth and all that.
Gluttony and all that.
If you don't have to be a religious scholar or a Bible thumper, that maybe if we took part in some of that, it would be better as a society. I mean, the fact that we're so jealous, the proverbial we, people are so jealous that these people could afford, that they spent more than most people make in 3 years, 4 years of their career on a ticket to take a 12-hour trip to the bottom of the ocean. That they died. Nah, it's a laughing joke. Who gives a shit?
Yeah. Well, it's you know, it's that envious, you know, jealousy where the elites get to do special things because they are the elites and they can do whatever they want.
Well,
they can
technically, one of them wasn't even elite. He was just in the Lucky Sperm Club. He was fucking 19.
Yeah.
And you know what's worse? It just came out. The ticket was originally for his mom. His mom gave up her seat to her kid. So not only did she lose her husband and her son, she has the guilt of knowing that she was supposed to be on that trip.
Survivor's guilt.
And, well, could this, you know, people who are firearms enthusiasts, whenever there's a mass shooting, we say, hey, it's not the guns, it's the people.
Yeah.
The real question is why does there seem to be an ever-growing lack of appreciation and love, I guess, for human life? Because you could say, well, you know, I mean, let's be honest here. Let's be intellectually honest. You don't have to be a gun nut, quote unquote, or even a gun supporter. Our country was founded on firearms, literally. Yesterday, Independence Day. I actually watched Patriot on Independence Day because we had a bunch of farmers, patriots, people with firearms, the gumption to take on the biggest military on the fucking planet. Granted, we had help from the French. We were able to separate ourselves from a tyrannous government.
Mm-hmm.
But I say all that to say this. We were able to do that because just about almost every single household had a firearm, an advanced firearm of the day. most people had at least a musket or something for hunting, food, self-defense, what have you. Because when we came to this land, it was undeveloped. You needed it for protection, not only from native people, but from bad people. Ne'er-do-wells who came over too, their idea was, hey, I want to do whatever the hell I want. And my point being is, since the founding of this country, we had families and kids around firearms.
Well, and I think a good representation of that is the movie Patriots Day.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really, really good representation of that. It's, you know, it's not, I guess, you know, I watched that. I was in the, what's that called? The,
AV Club?
no, the military,
PX?
no, the USO.
Oh, okay, yeah, the USO.
I was sitting at a USO one time on base, and Patriots Day was playing. They had it. It's on a big screen or whatever, and I was sitting there watching it, and I was listening to these people like around me, like just talking, not paying attention, you know, not watching, being very rude and stuff like that. I really took that to heart. The story, you know, it's like these people that came over here that had maybe some military experience, maybe no military experience, and they had the gumption and the heart and the will to go and fight for something that they didn't even know.
Mm-hmm. Something bigger than themselves.
What it was going to be. And then I sit back today and I look at my generation.
Well, you don't even have to go back that far. Just go back to 1942 when we had a bunch of 16, 17-year-olds landing on fucking D-Day. Actually, 1942 would have been Marines in the Pacific. 1944 would have been D-Day. But not to get too far off point, but my point being, and that maybe will point this out, our nation was founded on firearms and family and God.
Yeah.
And once again, I'm not a religious person. I'm not a Bible thumper. But with religion, the whole aspect of Christianity is family and community and love thy neighbor. And so the firearms were always there. They're the most advanced firearms of the time. I mean, in 1928, you can go open up the Sears catalog, and if you had the $500, you can buy a Thompson submachine gun fully automatic. It wasn't a military-grade weapon. You could have it.
Yep.
And you didn't have these mass shootings. You had the occasional breakdown. Someone would shoot a wife or whatever going to work, but you didn't have these mass shootings. And yes, our population has grown, and our guns have grown, but I think probably statistically the amount of guns per family is probably somewhere closer. But they didn't have gun safes back then. They had loaded guns in the house to protect the farms and the people from bad guys.
People didn't even lock their doors back then.
But they had education. They educated their children. This is a firearm. You fear it, you don't touch it. Only time you touch it is when I'm giving you permission. You don't aim it at anything you don't expect to destroy. Treat every firearm as it's loaded. Firearms are dangerous. Then they go to church. Learn respect for the family. Love for humankind. This and that. Well, obviously the religion aspect of our society is pretty much gone. Now if you're a Christian or a Bible thumper, you got people like me calling you a Bible thumper, and you know, there's definitely a clear war on Christians now.
Mm-hmm.
And you have this ever increasing every day. I mean, it seems like every day, by definition, if more than 2 people are shot at, it's considered a mass shooting. It's like almost every week now. There was one or two in like last 2 months. It was, you know, somebody went to a party and shot the place up. But it's happening more and more. And then we have something like the Titan sub where people die and, oh, they're rich, who cares? Ha. Better you than me. It's like, can we draw a line here? Is this why, you know, shootings and murders and robberies and all this horrible shit's happening more and more is because we don't educate our kids. We don't have the religious I mean, once again, even if you don't want to be Christian, I think unless you're a complete sociopath, we should all want to teach our kids the importance of loving their family, their neighbors, and their community. And I mean, the only time you see community love down here is whenever a hurricane comes and kicks you in the dick. That's the only time you talk to your neighbors down here.
And even then, it's
after 2 weeks. Once the power comes back on, that shit goes away. But when the power's out, everybody talks because they want to make sure ne'er-do-wells aren't coming in to try to loot your shit. Mm-hmm. But once the electricity comes back on, that's it.
Fuck you.
Back on your own.
Yep.
And so when I'm just... And once again, you want to make fun of the guy who owned the company because he went out of his way to cut corners and, you know, fine. But it's like 4 other people on that fucking boat. And regardless of you're jealous of the fact that they have the type of money to burn, I get it, but it doesn't... I don't know. It's just, to me, it's kind of gross.
No, I agree.
I mean, I don't clutch my pearls and say, oh my God, I can't make, you know, I'm not commenting on people's videos, but overall, just with the broad, just taking that 10,000 view look down on the situation, it's like, yep, we're fucked.
Well, and
I don't know if there's any coming back.
I think because of, I think a lot of the way that our society is today is because we're so connected. You know, the internet.
We're connected digitally, but we've never been more disconnected socially and verbally and compassionate-wise.
Exactly. People have such instant access to being able to say whatever the hell they want without any repercussion. And because there's no repercussions to that, it's just this continuation, you know, of just this ball of fucking hate, you know, and negativity, and you know, I can say whatever I want, and you know, that's how free speech, I think, got twisted around, you know, to everybody believing what it is now is, oh, I could just say whatever I want.
Yeah, that's a good point. We were going to do an episode on challenges, which we'll save for next week because I think we're on a good topic here. You bring up a good point, and I'm actually wearing the Analog 410 Second Amendment shirt, and I need to make a First Amendment shirt. The First Amendment is not a blanket say what the fuck you want without repercussions.
No.
The First Amendment protects you from being persecuted by the federal or state government.
Right.
Means you can't go to jail, you can't be hanged or killed or locked away or vanished by saying fuck Joe Biden.
Right.
You say that shit in North Korea, you're getting your head lopped off. You say that in Russia, and you say it loud enough, you're going to a gulag, even nowadays. You say that over in the Middle East in front of someone of ISIS power. I mean, look what happened when, you know, some newspaper story made a comic strip about Allah. You know, people were killed. Yeah. And to your point, people think, oh, I have the freedom to say whatever the fuck I want. Yes, you do. But you also have the freedom to live up to the consequences. Freedom of speech doesn't mean you're not going to get fired from your job for going on Facebook and saying some racist shit or some anti-Semite shit or some anti-LGBT shit. You know, the First Amendment isn't going to mean you're not going to get kicked out of your church or, you know, punched in the mouth.
Yeah.
Now, there used to be a saying, you have the freedom to say what you want. I have the freedom to punch you in the mouth for saying that I don't agree with. You have freedom for punching me back. But when the government comes and tells you no longer have that right, I will stand by your side and fight with you to protect your right to say something stupid. Yeah. And that's long gone out the fucking door.
Well, it's it's not. See, the message to me has been so twisted that everybody thinks it's freedom of speech against each other.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's freedom of speech against being prosecuted by the government.
Yep.
I get to say my piece, and because of that, I don't, you know, there's no consequences or legal action that somebody can take because of that, but, you know, through the government. it's so twisted and convoluted now that it's like, oh, well, I can just walk up to any random stranger, say whatever the fuck I want, and I should be able to get away with it. No. You're liable to get smacked in the fucking mouth.
I think more people should. I think we should have a mutual combat like Texas. I think people need to get smacked in the mouths every once in a while.
I agree.
We are so narcissistic that... Let me explain a situation. I wish I had the ability to draw the graph where people could see this, but I'm at Starbucks on Saturday. And the Starbucks by my house, the parking lot's very small. And so when you go through the line, you pick up your drink, as you go out, it's a T intersection. Meaning the drive-through traffic is going to be right in front of you. And where you come out is right where the parking lot spills into the main thoroughfare of the parking lot going to Publix and Lowe's. And so what happens is people don't pay attention, and it becomes a bottleneck. People lining up, and instead of going into Publix and making a straight line and leaving the gaps so people can drive down the thoroughfare, they park in the middle of the thoroughfare. It becomes an absolute clusterfuck. Now, I get my coffee, get my kids' coffee, and I'm in my Tundra. And I'm pulled up, and I'm at the end of the drive-thru, and there's a car parked in front of me, about a car length in front of her, half a car length. There's another car sitting in line with about a car and a half space in front of them, and then another car with a car and a half space in front of them. Now, I'm at the front of this line, but I'm blocked. So what's going to happen if I don't move? I just got my coffee. I'm at the front of the line waiting to get out. If I don't move, what does that mean?
You're an asshole.
But I can't move because someone's parked in front of me. But if I don't move, the entire line doesn't move because I'm at the front of the line.
Yeah.
But I can't hang a right or a left because there's two cars parked right in front of me.
Yeah.
So I get out of my car, walk over to the third car from... So they have the lady parked in front of me, there's a car. And so my idea is I was going to knock on the window, ask people to pull up, fill that car and a half so that she could stay, I could pull out, and then everybody can go about their day.
Yeah.
I'm being the night. No idea. I just get out of my car, la-di-da-di-da, knock on the window. Later on, I was what? Yeah, I just got my coffee. I'm stuck. If I don't move, the whole line's dead. So could you pull up your... What the fuck are you blocking traffic for?
Because you're in the way.
I said, ma'am, I'm not blocking traffic. Well, why the fuck don't you get out? I said, look, I said, look, bitch, I'm not the one blocking traffic. I got my drink because you guys aren't paying the fucking attention. I can't pull out. And if I don't pull out, none of you guys are going anywhere. I'm trying to be the nice guy here. I'm trying to direct traffic so I can get my truck out so you guys can proceed through your day. But just the fact that some random dude walked up and knocked on her window and asked her fucking highness to pull her car up a car length and a half so that she can go about her day, because otherwise no one's going fucking anywhere. I was the asshole.
Yep.
And I'm just like, holy shit, we are fucked.
Yeah.
And the lady who was parked in front of me, she finally just pulled over so that I could get out. But I'm like, yeah, I'm trying to be the nice guy because I realize if I don't move, 8 people behind me, lives are going to be affected. I already got my coffee. I got nowhere to go. I'm trying to be the nice guy.
You're just trying to be a decent human being.
But it's just...
and you're thinking about your actions and how that reflects on other people.
And so I have a challenge for everybody. This isn't the challenge I was going to talk about today, but here's a challenge. And I don't do this all the time, but I try to remind myself to do this. I don't want to sound like I don't want to sound like the cooler in Roadhouse, but be nice. Try being nice to people. When I go to the convenience, like I go to Publix or a gas station, I see a name tag. Thanks, Sheila. Have a good day. They're all, huh? Oh. When you actually talk to people by their name on the name tag, that throws them off guard, and all of a sudden it makes them feel good. Yeah. Hey, you saw me for me, not just the bag boy. Thanks, Steve. Yeah. Going to the gas station. How often do people still hold the door for other people? I do it all the time.
I do. All the time.
Yep.
even if they're 10 yards away.
Don't
I'll
run.
wait.
I'm good. I hate when they just start to do the, no,
They
don't
start
jog.
the
Don't
the
jog. Stay where you're at.
Oh, hang on. No, it's all good. I'm not in any hurry.
When you walk in the Publix, you see the kids selling the candy bar, the cookie. Tuck that in the back of your mind. So when you go through, do you need cash back? Yeah, let me get $5. If it's been payday and you got the money. I've walked out plenty of times. Would you like some Girl Scout cookies? No, I'm on a diet, but here's $5 anyhow.
Yeah.
I don't want my diet to prevent you from getting whatever it is you're trying to sell cookies for.
Yeah.
Just try to be nice. One, it'll make you feel better, even if you're having a shitty day. And two, who knows? Maybe if we all start being a little more nicer and taking other people's thoughts and problems into consideration.
That's not going to happen.
So somebody's got to try something.
Well, I know. And there are plenty of people out there that advocate for stuff like this,
but unless you film it and put it on TikTok, no one cares.
Right. Over 7 billion people on this planet. And every one of us has a different thought process. Every one of us has a different, way of looking at things and stuff like that. It's like, I'd advocate all day long. Please be nice. Please be nice.
What if she calls my mama a bitch? Is she? Be nice.
But it's like, I look at it as, I'm going to do what I'm going to do. I'm going to be nice. I'm going to be that person. I'm going to, hold the door open for the guy at the gas station or the lady or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to, and if somebody, to me, and this was always taught to me, is that like actions speak louder than words. And, if you do something, other people see it. That doesn't mean go out and do what these fucking YouTubers and TikTokers and social media influencers and stuff like that. Oh, well, let me pull out the camera and let me give $500 to this homeless guy. And
whatever happened to the truest form of charity is anonymous?
Yeah.
Hold on. Oh. The truest form of charity is anonymous.
All right. People who really want to have a good time won't come to a slaughterhouse. And we've got entirely too many troublemakers here. Too many 40-year-old adolescents, felons, power drinkers, and trustees of modern chemistry. It's going to change.
Man, that sure sounds good. But a lot of the guys who come in here, we can't handle one-on-one. Even two-on-one.
Don't worry about it. All you have to do is follow 3 simple rules. 1, never underestimate your opponent. Expect the unexpected. 2, take it outside. Never start anything inside the bar unless it's absolutely necessary. And 3,
be nice.
Be nice. Come on. If somebody gets in your face and calls you a cocksucker, I want you to be nice. Okay. Ask him to walk. Be nice. If he won't walk him. But be nice. If you can't walk him, one of the others will help you. And you'll
both be nice.
I want you to remember that it's a job. It's nothing personal.
Uh-huh. Being called a cocksucker isn't personal?
No. It's 2 nouns combined to elicit a prescribed response.
I wonder if somebody calls my mama a whore.
Is she?
Be nice.
That's just it's really simple.
Just be nice.
That's why I can't stand those fucking social media influencers. And as much as we try to get this the podcast out there and get people to listen and stuff like that, it's like there are people out there that make thousands of dollars off of giving $500 or $800 to a homeless person and saying, I'm gonna you're gonna ride around in my Lamborghini for the day, and I'm going to buy you a wardrobe, and I'm gonna get you a chicken sandwich and all that. And it's all bullshit.
Yeah.
It's not real. It's not genuine. It's for the views, and the views turn into dollars, and the dollars make them richer and let them have a better life for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good system when you're the person that it's happening to, but it's bullshit and it's not genuine.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of those I try not to watch. I do like the ones where, like, they'll go to Home Depot or whatever and get some day laborers and take them to Disneyland or some shit and take them to a basketball game. I mean, that's cool to watch, but no, you're absolutely right.
It's nice to be nice and courteous and have respect for people and treat them fairly, and, you know, don't be an asshole to somebody. You know, don't start shit. You know, our kids or our parents taught us that, you know, when we were younger. Don't start it, but finish it.
Yeah.
You know? And that's just stuff that sticks with me. It's just like, I don't need somebody to follow me around with a camera and show off how nice I am. I don't need those accolades. You know? I'd rather do it because I feel as though I'm a genuinely kind person, and I'm doing it as a courtesy and as a respect to try and help make somebody else's day better.
Yeah.
Help them out, you know.
It's
maybe that person's been having a shitty week.
Mm-hmm.
And that one thing that you do, like holding open the door or saying hello or saying excuse me.
Especially if it's a dude.
Yeah.
So many dudes. No one in their life says, "Hey, how you doing?" It's always, "Here's what's going on with so-and-so. Here's what's going on with the kids. Here's what's going on here and there." Dudes are just expected to fucking just roll and just keep going to punches. And so many dudes just don't get any sort of recognition or just, "How you doing, man?" And so, you know, those are the dudes who snap.
Well, and that's why you have your network.
Yeah.
You know, your people. You know, like I've got Ron and you and you know some other.
Yeah, but I can't even bother to
but
show up to your fucking tuxedo dress without you calling me and reminding me.
You fucking asshole.
But
you showed up though. That's the point.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't have if you wouldn't have called me and reminded me. Because I don't have Facebook notifications on, so
yeah,
like
even though I mentioned it to you like 3 days before.
I don't remember, but anyhow, got a lot going on here. But anyhow,
I get it.
Real quick, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. Have you seen *Handmaid's Tale*?
That's on Hulu, right?
Yeah.
I've seen
previews,
little bits and pieces and previews of it, but
watch it.
Is it good?
You see them wearing the outfits, you think, "Oh, this show takes place in fucking 1482." It takes place in 2015.
Aren't they like Mormons or
no?
What are they?
Okay, the movie's been out since the book was written in 1984. A movie was made in 1990, and the show was made in 2015. So I'm not going to give away too much spoilers, but here's the plot. Did you ever read Atlas Shrugged? Probably not. Takes place in 2015. Somewhere 2017, 2015 is when things jumped off. But long story short, book was written in 1984, and in their future by 2015, human reproduction is pretty much done through overuse of birth control, preservatives, this, that, and the other thing. I think, according to this book in the series, I think maybe 1 out of every 1,000 women can give birth. They're just not fertile, or the dudes aren't fertile. And it's weird because...
Is that based on generations of...
It's just what happens in the story.
Okay.
So, worldwide, childbirth is through the floor. And through power, which surprised me. I'm like 8 episodes in and the word Nazis never come up, or communism. But in this dystopian future, this corrupt, crazy, religious organization comes to power, much like the Nazis did in Germany. And and it's crazy because I would have loved to have been on the set, because this show started recording in 2015 and is 6 seasons in, so that means they were recording during the pandemic. I would have loved to have been on the set to see if anybody said, "Huh, this sounds awfully familiar." In the story, this religious group takes power because there was some attacks by terrorist groups. And so to protect people from terrorism, we need to get rid of the Constitution. And to protect people from terrorism, we need to enforce new laws. Kind of like what they're doing during COVID, which is why I said, so long story short, in the future, Washington, D.C., the capital of the United States, moved to Anchorage, Alaska. There's only 2 states left in the Union. This new government's taken over everything. The United States does not exist anymore. And much like the Nazis, the government officials and the military people have come to power. And they kidnap and force into sexual servitude any woman who can reproduce. And they're turned into what's called handmaids. And they're basically used as house servants and human reproduction machines. And it's like, as they're walking to the store to get groceries for their masters, you see people hanging. Instead of Jews, it's what they call gender traders, the homosexuals and the lesbians that are all being rounded up and sent to camps. It's very Germanesque, communist / socialist / one of the women who controls all the handmaids, they're all dressed in brown like communists in Russia. It's very, you have all these guards walking around with guns. It's a very crazy show, but it's kind of a lesson in what happens when you're not paying attention. And
like today.
What's crazy is this book was written in 1984, and I want to read the book to see how much of it was changed to fit modern day. But how the power grab happened is they're all on digital currency. No more paper currency. Now, I think by the end of July, the United States is rolling out our version of digital currency. And as you know, from the pandemic, they've been trying to get us off paper currency. There's a lot of places that no longer take paper currency. You remember when the semi-truck drivers were protesting in Canada, when they're trying to force them to get inoculated, and they're like, we're in semi-trucks by ourselves all day long. Only time we see people is at the truck stops when we can fuel up and not be around people. And so they staged the sit-ins. Do you know how that came to an end?
How's that?
Canada has a digital currency. And Canadian government has control over your bank accounts. And the Canadian government said, hey, if you guys don't fucking go home, we're going to freeze your assets. You're not going to be able to make your car payments on your semi-trucks. You're not going to be able to pay your employees. You're not going to be able to pay your rent. So they were able to shut down a nationwide protest by threat of freezing people's assets. Well, in this movie, they go back to the old ways where women lose all the rights. They're no longer to work. They're no longer allowed to vote. They're no longer allowed to own property or anything. And since they're all in digital currency, they all wake up one day and they have no money. Their money has been transferred into the bank accounts of their male siblings or their husbands. Every woman in the fucking country is fired from their jobs. And they go back to 1950s, 40s style. You're a fucking housewife. Your job is to take care of the house and have kids. And if you can't have kids, if you're a woman of stature, we're going to bring in one of these handmaidens that your husband gets to basically rape once a month until they get pregnant. And it's a very crazy show, but there's a lot of this shit's not too far-fetched. The digital currency and not controlling the people, which is why DeSantis is like, we're not doing that digital currency shit here in Florida. And I've been saying this for a while, not even the government control side, but let's just say people want universal digital currency and get rid of paper currency. Do we forget how many places on this planet don't have fucking internet or electricity? You want to talk about keeping the poor fucking people poor? How is digital currency going to work in small towns in South Africa?
Yeah.
Fucking Alaska. South America. These villages in the rainforest.
There's places in the United States,
Eastern Kentucky.
that their card machines barely work.
Yeah. But we want digital currency. Yeah. No. I think it'll never happen. And I'm just responsible too. I don't have any paper currency, but it's like we all almost need to start fighting back by using paper currency. But it'll never happen. It's going to go away.
Yeah.
But once it goes away, you see it in China. China has a social credit score. You've heard about that?
Mm-mm.
Look it up. I'm not making this shit up. It's readily been reported on. It's not conspiracy. China has the social credit score, and here's how it works. If you're a good citizen, you do what's expected of you by the government, your social credit score is affected positively. You make some comments on the internet because China's a communist country they don't appreciate, your social credit score gets dinged. It affects your ability to buy shit. It affects your ability to get certain jobs. And if you're real bad, they can control your travel because your ATM will only work in with a 10-mile radius of your fucking house. And so they can literally control where you go. Yeah, you can take out, and okay, well, we're only going to let you take out so much money a day. So it's not like you can fucking say, well, I'm going to pull all the money out of my account and fucking run away. They are controlling people because they got cameras all over the fucking place, digital currency, and they control everything you do. And I'm so glad I was born in 1978 because I will see the beginning of this bullshit, and then it'll be up to my kids and my grandkids to fucking deal with the rest of it because I'll be signing off. But it's scary. We're seeing the beginning. It's. I mean, I don't want to sound like conspiracy nut, but this shit's all coming true. Once we get digital currency and our paper currency's gone, we're going to be wishing we listened to those crazy people. So you need to buy gold and silver. Because
I think and we have been for a while, we're on the edge of another civil war, I think.
I think it's already started socially and digitally.
Well, sure, yeah. There's a lot of divide. There's a lot of back and forth. But I have a feeling that, at some point it's going to start to turn seriously physical.
You know what the solution is? Everybody just needs to fucking go fishing after work and get off the goddamn internet.
That's right.
Go camping, go fishing,
go outside,
take some money out of your bank account, force businesses to take. And you know where that started? That should start in the airplanes. The airplanes were the first place that no longer took paper currency. The official United States tender. And then during the pandemic, well, you can get germs through the transmission of money, so we're no longer, how fucking convenient.
Yeah.
And I get it from the business standpoint. If you no longer take paper currency, you don't have to worry about your employees fucking skimming off the register.
Yeah.
You no longer have to worry about the office manager or the store manager forgetting to make that deposit that night. You know how many fast food restaurants have the 18 to 20-year-old shit dick store manager who accidentally forgets to deposit that money until the next morning because they went out and made a quick investment? I mean, that's what remember Empire Records?
Yeah.
That's what the plot line of Empire Records was. The store manager, he took the money, went to Vegas, thought he could double the money and couldn't make the deposit, and everything went south. But yeah, I don't know, man. I want to get started on bricks. You familiar with that?
What's that?
That is, let me give you the current rundown. BRICS Nation. So,
I've heard of it.
Post, I think, World War II, maybe Vietnam, the United States money became the official reserve currency. Oil is traded only in
this a little bit.
Oil is only traded in American currency until recently.
Yeah.
So BRICS is an acronym for Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, and more nations are joining in. Basically, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, I think Iran, and a couple of the normal dirty players are getting together, and they're creating their new reserve currency. Yeah. It's going to be digital currency, maybe in paper currency. They're going to probably it'll probably be China's money or maybe even Russia's money. but they're trying to stop paying for their bills and trading in the American dollar.
Yeah.
And if more countries follow suit, the less people who use the American dollar, the less value it will have. And we will deal with more inflation, and it's just another way to bring us down as being the powerhouse of the nation, of the world.
Yeah.
And it'll affect us as citizens greatly because, I mean, let's talk about inflation. I mean, I went to McDonald's and I got 3 combo meals. Nothing else. Big Mac combo, 10-piece nugget combo, quarter pounder combo, $35.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, you could go drop $40 on 2 people at a fucking steakhouse? Now you're getting 3 shitty combo meals for $37 at McDonald's, so.
Yep.
And no one pays attention to any of this stuff. And if you bring it up, people just roll their heads and back their eyes and like, oh, here we go, crazy talk. But that's going to wrap it up for this episode of Crazy Talk. We want to thank each and every one of you for continued support of the What's in Your Head podcast. If you want to share your support, please head over to what'sinyourhead.com or d-410.com. Click and sign on the Patreon link. Sign up and subscribe. It'll cost you $1 a month. It goes a long way to support what we do. And if you haven't done so, please head over to Yahoo. That's old. Head over to Yahoo. Head over to youtube.com. Look for Digital 410 Media or Digital 410. Actually, D410 Media or Digital 410. Like, subscribe, watch our videos. And email us at info@d-410.com. And we're still finding our way on our new format. We're going to try to get down to 1 or 2 single topic per show, but we haven't been around for a few weeks, so we're just getting caught up. And Gordon will probably be back in a few months. And but for right now, me and Mike, and we'll probably bring in some rotating guest hosts as well. We want to thank each and every one of you for continue to stick it out with us, and we're going to do our best to bring you quality programming that you've come to not expect from us. But thank you, everybody, and we will talk to you all next week.
This has been a Digital 410 production.